There was a meme that's gone around quite a bit in social media, and I made a little bit of change to it, but it goes like this: the good times lead to soft organizations. Soft organizations lead to hard times, which leads to effective organizations, which leads to good times. And you know, I thought about this when as I talk to organizations and see what's happening within their organizations, that most of the organizations that are out there, especially technology for whatever reason, but not just technology, sometimes it's banks because they have a lot of people doing things that shouldn't be done, but there are regulations, so they're forced to do them. Uh, but all of these organizations I've interacted with are bloated in a large way. And so I wanted to cover this week and talk in terms of kind of what's happening and the fact that, you know, people don't think that their customers know kind of what's going on in their organizations, and they don't know the inner workings, but they do know the outcomes because they're on the receiving end of them. And you know, customers is where my whole system begins, and the interactions that they have with your organization, that you design your organization customer in, meaning that you're understanding what the customer is experiencing, can make or break your organization. You know, if you're not meeting what the customer is trying to get out of your organizations, you're going to lose customers. And when you don't give them what they want, they're going to call back, they're going to complain, and that costs you money too. And you add on top of that some of the bureaucracy associated with those things, that cost you money because they're preventing you from providing good service, to them. And so the money mounts. It gets much higher as time goes by. Now, what I call these things are avoidable interactions. Uh, they are interactions that customers make to your organizations that they shouldn't have to, and they mount. uh, they are very high today. You look at most of the organizations that are out there. What I've seen happening, unfortunately, is that they have started into reducing headcount, but they're not getting rid of the right people, people they probably shouldn't have hired in the organization in the first place, but because we had good times, they say, well, we can absorb that cost. Well, when you go into a recession, which I think we've faced and are facing now, you can't have that. So a lot of organizations have begun to cut, and they've unfortunately cut uh, from the organizations. It's beyond the point where you could have hired better, or shouldn't have hired for certain positions. You're going to be forced to. But what I see happening in organizations is they're cutting a lot of people that create value for customers, customer facing people, because they're considered low on the totem pole, if you will. They are not considered to be important. Now, I've throughout my episodes that I've done, I've tried to explain, at least I've hoped I've achieved that, the importance of people that are customer facing, the ones that a lot of organizations pay minimum wage to. And by virtue of that, they've created this whole network of not only hierarchy, but of supporting groups that are supposed to help make these people perform better. Now, if we would have hired people that are capable of doing that at the beginning at a wage that you would be getting a higher level of person, into that position. You probably don't need a lot of these ancillary positions that are out there. Um, but the experience that I'm having now is now they're being forced to cut, and they're cutting the customer facing people rather than the people that are non-value adding. So let's break this down, and I've done this before in different episodes. The value adding uh, employees in your organization are those that would be viewed that way from the customer perspective. In other words, the person they're interacting with is all they know. When they call up your organization, or the technician comes out to provide some type of service, those are the people that add value from a customer perspective. Everybody else should be involved in trying to enable those who create value within your organization. And by virtue of doing that, you know, what you wind up in organizations is about 10 to maybe, very unusual, but 30% of the organization actually creates value for customers, and the other 90 to 70% are supposed to be enabling those. But unfortunately, their systems have been designed, your organizations have been designed to prevent the front line from creating value, those that create value from creating value for customers. And what you wind up with is just a lot of cost, bad service, a lot of cost. And because, people within the organization often think that, their job is to tell those people that are customer facing the way it is, and not listen to the customer facing or the value adding people in their organization, that this is what needs to actually happen in order to have customers that are happy. And by virtue of doing that, you reduce costs associated with it by designing an organization that is able to provision services and manufacture products to customers that they want. And so we're in this situation now. It's seeing more and more of it, that as people cut in their organizations, they're cutting the value adding people, and that is going to create. You're going to see that the cost doesn't really go away. One, because unfortunately they're the lower paid people, and except in sales. But by virtue of having all of this bloated bureaucracy within the organization that's been created by the good times, they're stuck, and they don't want to get rid of the people that are supposedly the smart people, because they are the ones that supposedly are keeping this whole organization together, which I rarely find is the case. So as we face this upcoming recession, and organizations have already started to react, and we're going to see more of it here, because we're just at the beginning, the very, very beginning of the layoffs that are coming in organizations. Who is creating value in your company? You need to understand who that is, and it's not always the people that you like. In other words, the people that report to you or are in these supporting groups, IT, training, project managers. How much value are they actually creating in your organization? You have to evaluate it. That's going on. We've got the same thing, obviously, here in the U.S. with our government. I think Vivek Ramaswamy has done a pretty good job of saying, let's take the odd number of Social Security numbers. Now, I wouldn't do it this way, certainly for an organization, but, odd numbered Social Security, and all those people, are out, basically, of a job, and reduce government by 50% that way. So I wouldn't suggest that route. Government's a unique spot. I don't really see it creating value. As a matter of fact, I see it as something that doesn't create value for organizations. As a matter of fact, is a barrier for most organizations to be able to provision services and manufacture products that are useful to people. Now, we also have, and I've talked about this before too, you have, the environmental, uh, you know, the ESG stuff, you got DEI. These are all things that do not add value to organizations. They are, they take up space, and there is no mandate out there. And that's why it blows my mind to see organizations that are embracing these types of things for additional costs. And I believe that as time goes by, we started to see some of these people that have, DEI executives in them, get rid of them because they don't create any value for the organization. But you're going to be faced with these things, and I've been talking about this for a year and a half that this is coming, and now's the time to start to take a look at. Well, hopefully it's almost past time for you to take a look at your organization and determine who is creating value in an organization, who is enabling those that create value, and those that create no value within your organization. And it's a tough thing, and if you are an effective executive, you wouldn't have let this bloat get into your organization in the first place. But you're going to be forced to deal with it because costs and things of that are going to become very, very important to understand. How do I get rid of it without killing off customers and things of that sort. So my suggestion again is understand who in your organization creates value for customers, who enables those, and who create no value to customers within your organization. That's what I wanted to cover this week. And remember, there is always a better way.